Welcome, everybody, to the Seasons Leadership Podcast, where we are committed to leaders everywhere at all levels who want to make progress on their leadership journey. We will bring you actionable advice to improve your leadership and life today.
Thank you for joining us. At Seasons Leadership, we share a vision to make excellent leadership the worldwide standard. Learn more at seasonsleadership.com.
Welcome, everybody. And today we have a very special guest, Frances Chang. Frances, welcome.
Hello. Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, and Frances, you are very special to us because you were in one of the very first cohorts for Seasons Leadership.
Yes, I remember. Good times.
Yes, it is.
That was what, 3 years ago?
I think
3 or 4 years ago?
I think it might have been 4 years ago.
Wow, 2020 or 2021? Can't remember.
Right. Well, it kind of crossed there, I think, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, time flies, right?
Time flies, but I don't really feel like it's been so long because, what we talked about back then, it's still applicable at my work every single day. So I always refer to what I learned from the cohort.
I love to hear that. Well, yes. And you are even, such a good supporter. And I'm so glad that the material works for you because you are also in our elemental leadership course.
Yes.
So
I'm also quite happy with the new format because it's more flexible, right? So I know back then, because of the time zone, I had to wake up at like 3 a.m. every quarter for like 2 days every quarter. But now I can just, learn it at my own pace. So it's awesome.
That was real dedication to learning about leadership, to have to wake up at 3 a.m. and get on a video call.
No kidding.
You know what really drove that decision is because I felt the need at that time. I think that's often the best motivation or reason for people to find resources, right? Because they are in need of something.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And reaching out for it. We were so grateful to have you in the program then and now.
Thank you.
It means a lot to us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, tell us more about you. What are you doing? How did you get there? Who is Frances Chang?
So, yeah, just really briefly, I'm originally from Taiwan, although I left Taiwan, I think 17 years ago. So I was studying and working in Europe and the US. And now I'm based in Bangkok, Thailand with my husband and a rescue pup. Right now at work, I oversee the operation of a company. We are the language service provider. We do everything language related, right? From translation, localization, interpretation, right? Even the latest service offering includes data collection as well to train the large language model, for example. So yeah, basically we do anything and everything that language related.
Frances, I'm curious, what is localization with regards to language?
Localization is basically localizing content, right? So for example, if you are a multinational corporation and you have, say, internal training material, online training courses that you want to give to your workers in Brazil, give the training material to people in China, for example, and then you need to localize those training courses, right? So we do that end to end for you. So we will translate those and then we will do the digital integration back to the whole training package for you so that your staff in China, for example, can just watch it and even listen to it in Chinese.
Wow. Oh, I love that. That's really helpful.
Or if you have a website, right? Let's say you're an e-commerce website in the US and then you want to get into Japanese market, which is very, very sensitive to whatever the language on the interface that they have, then localizing your website into Japanese will probably increase a lot of your sales or increase a lot of the traffic, right? So we will localize your website into Japanese as well. And then we will also have the experts or linguists that will go through the material and pick out something that's not culturally acceptable or appropriate for the local market during the whole localization process.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's amazing. It is amazing.
Well, Frances, what is your position in the company?
Right now, I'm the Chief Operating Officer.
Wow.
So basically overseeing the operation. Yeah, about everything.
That's a huge job. That's a huge job.
Yes, it can be overwhelming a lot of times actually. Yeah, but I do, again, passion, right? Like I'm really passionate about languages and I'm very passionate about people, about, making connection to them every day. We have staff in multiple countries of different nationalities. I think last time I counted, it was like 26 nationalities or something. I
Wow.
love, really get to know them and then hear their stories. It's always very fascinating to me. And I think that's one of the advantages of being for example, at my position, right? Because I get to have those connections. If I'm a local, like a very junior staff, I might not have the exposure to talk to these many people because they are just simply not my stakeholders.
So you're very passionate about languages. What do you think drove that? Were you always passionate from as young as you can remember, or did something spark that passion in you?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit of my personality as well. And I guess I didn't really know that until I did the program like 3, 4 years ago. I know that I'm always very passionate about languages since I was very young. I like to learn English. I studied Russian in college, and then later on
Wow.
I learned Polish as well. But I didn't quite understand what drove that, right? But
Mhm.
then we did the program, and then I remember the first thing was about the appearance. That's super fun as well. But then we got into the topic of, identifying your core values.
Mhm.
And that's when I realized, oh my God, I love adventures. That's one, I think that's one of my top three or something. Like I put down adventure, connection, and faith. And then, yeah, I guess a part of me is just constantly, seeking something new, seeking something exciting, something different. So I guess that's related to why I'm so interested in foreign languages, because like Susan said, it opens different doors. I feel like people who speak different languages, their brains are wired completely differently
Yes.
as well. So that's always very cool to read, for example, the literature in their native languages.
Oh my gosh. Frances, how many languages do you speak, read, that kind of thing?
4.
Four. What are they?
4.
What are they?
Chinese is my native languages, the language, and then I speak English, obviously, Russian and Polish.
What
I'm picking up
languages?
Thai.
I was gonna say, which languages do you kind of speak?
I
Thai.
kind of speak Thai. Yeah, yeah. I can, like get around and order food and stuff. It's just totally fine. But I can't really read and write yet. It's such a difficult language. They all look the same to me, the alphabets. Yeah. But now that I'm here, I definitely have a lot of, opportunity to really pick that up.
Yeah, there's no better way for picking up languages than to immerse yourself in that language and in
Yes.
that culture. At least that's
Yes.
been my
Yes.
experience.
Yep.
Necessity, right? You,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, when you need something, you need to know the
You
language to
go
be
for
able
it.
to, so you just dive in and do it.
Yes. I remember when I first moved here, I couldn't even get the taxi driver to take me where I want to go. Just impossible. I mean, I would show them map, but it's just the barrier is so high that I decided to take at least 3 months of Thai language course. So at least I can speak, right? At least I can, tell them turn left, turn right, and get food.
That's wonderful. Well, it makes it really truly makes it an adventure when you are in a country where you don't speak the language there and you're trying to get around and do things. And I imagine, I've never climbed a mountain, so I'm going to use this analogy, maybe not the greatest analogy to use, but I imagine the same kind of things. Your heart rate starts pumping even more, and
Excitement.
you're like, oh, I can figure this out. Let's figure out how we have to solve this. And
Yeah.
in challenge like that is much like what leadership can be, right? Especially when you're in a position as important as the position you're in. If you are faced with a new challenge, I imagine that passion for adventures and new challenges serves you well in a position like
Doesn't
you're
mean I
in.
don't panic though.
Oh no, I
It
would panic
definitely.
too.
Yeah, and I guess many people love challenges as well. They love adventures. But then I feel like when you're at a certain level, the tolerance for making mistake is actually smaller, like lower, right? Because right now, if I make a mistake, the impact is much bigger than when I was a junior staff. So that pressure would naturally kind of cause a lot of fear and a lot of stress. And so I feel like for leaders, having the right mindset and also find your own support network is very, very important. Otherwise, no matter how adventurous you are, you just cannot survive. It's the challenges are constant and then changes are constant. And then if you are so afraid of making decisions, thinking about a million things all the time, yeah, you just cannot move forward. So I feel like to really propel a leader to survive this kind of journey, there are things that you have to do. There are support that you have to find. You have to also prep yourself internally as well.
Just like for any adventure, right? You have to prep yourself.
Yeah.
You have to know who your
Yes.
support people are. You have to
Mm-hmm.
get psyched up for it and then
Yeah.
dive
For
in and
example, I have
try
you
it.
guys, so it's
Yeah.
great.
Well, we're happy to be your support group.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, and I'm just reflecting on what you're saying because as you go up in position, you also have more people relying on you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your values is connection.
Yes.
How do you keep the connection strong as you have taken more responsibility on?
Obviously, I won't be able to spend equal amount of time with everyone, right? Because just impossible. I only have also 24 hours a day. But what I really try to do is to make it a habit, right? Let's say um every 2 weeks I would schedule a call connecting with one colleague, even though she's not even, in my direct reporting line, but I know she has a lot of interesting stories and our work constantly, cross paths. So I want to make it regular to, really connect with her, even if it's just 30 minutes, right? Because I feel like if you don't really put it on the calendar, it will just fade.
It's
Right.
true.
And also, again, I feel like you have to kind of feel the need. It always goes back to the same theme, right? You are genuinely curious about what other people are doing. every work meeting, conference, online calls like this, we will chit chat, right? We will, talk about what's happening in each other's lives. So we try to grab that opportunity to really connect.
Well, Frances, as you know, we have a vision to make excellent leadership the worldwide standard.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been helping us with that vision, helping us realize it by participating in our program. What way would you say that you contribute to leadership excellence?
I guess I can contribute because in a way that I bring different perspectives, because we want diversity basically in leadership's world as well. And it's not only that we can learn from different people, it's the reality. You are naturally gonna have very different team members. You're not going to have just one single personality on your team, right? You would naturally face the need that you have to deal with diversity. So I think it's like both ways. It kind of preps you um, for your real team in real life, but also it helps you to learn different perspective, get different information, and hear how they would solve the problems, right? So, for example, I learned so much from my own team. Um, that yeah, if you talk about hierarchy, yes, they report to me, but every single time so wowed by them, like they always have exciting ideas I've never thought of. It can be because their upbringing, can be because their culture, I don't know, but it's just nonstop learning, which is really, really exciting. So diversity is really, really important for me. And I think I can contribute in a way that I have quite, interesting, life story so far. I've been traveling around the world for the past 20 years and different industries as well. Like at first I was in manufacturing. Can you imagine? And now I'm in language service, right? Yeah. So I think I can chime in whenever I feel, this situation, maybe I can, borrow a part of my experience and then apply here.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so cool too that you started in manufacturing, but you gravitated towards something you're passionate about, which is languages. That is such a
Yes.
success story already
Yeah.
that you got to go to
Mm-hmm.
something. Many people, I think, work in jobs for lots of different reasons, but oftentimes it's just that it's a job or work just to make enough money to do what they want to do. But when you can do what you've done, which is move into the field that you're passionate about, then you get that congruence and everything's more aligned and just works better.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you mentioned that a lot of people probably do not have a very specific thing that they are super passionate about. And I think that is fine. That is totally, totally okay. Because I feel like we are asking people, we're demanding from people a lot, like you need to find your passion, right? You need to do something you're passionate, follow your heart. It's not easy. Many people just do not have that, but that's okay. What I want to say is that as long as you keep moving, try to find something that you like. It's that process that matters, right? So, for example, I don't know why, but out of nowhere, I started to feel really, really interested in interior design. Right. I'm never trained in that area. I just like to look at beautiful houses. But then throughout that process, throughout that research and everything, I even registered for an online program as well, just, as a hobby. It might not bring me anything monetary, right, at the end. But throughout the process, I got to see so many beautiful, beautiful designs, right? It really, really opens up my mind. And yeah, it's okay that you haven't found something yet. And also, even when you find it, right? Let's say, okay, language awesome. I love doing it. I love my industry. I mean, but again, you can be really bogged down by the load of work, and then you lose your interest, right? You lose your passion. So I think that that's also very possible. So yeah, at the end of the day, if you can just keep moving, you keep connecting with new people, new information, you grow in a very unexpected way, I would say.
That's great. I love that because, oftentimes people will talk to us and that is it. Like, I don't have a passion. Is there something wrong with me? You know,
No, not at
no,
all.
right, right. We put a little bit, sometimes too much emphasis on that. And
Yes,
but
yes.
yeah, the journey will find, what is right for you. And it may be a quieter kind of a interest.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be
if
loud
I,
passion.
I mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can find comfort from your newfound hobby, right? When you are finding it, when you're looking at things, or you can be kind of stimulated, like, oh, maybe it is something I can really get into, get serious.
Yeah.
Or you just meet very interesting people, right?
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah. It's like
You
being
can
open,
get something out of it regardless.
right?
Yes.
Being open to being
But
surprised.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So our I think we talked about his book, right? Adam Grant's
Yeah.
book.
Yes. Which one?
I think Rethink.
Oh, rethink. Yes.
Yeah, that's, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the idea is you need to constantly unlearn what you already know, right? Rethink what you already know.
Right.
And I think that's really, really important.
Well, you know what I do, and I think everybody does this, and I'm always like, oh, I did it again. The idea of when I think I know something,
Uh-huh.
it's like my mind shuts down almost to actually maybe other possibilities or reality. So
Mm-hmm.
because it's just the way my mind works, like, oh, I know something. And I remember I was at work back at Boeing, and
Mm-hmm.
I was having a meeting with my team, and they were presenting something. And I said, it's like the light went on for me. And I said, wait a second, this is not what I thought. And my whole team said, finally, you saw it. And I
Client
said,
what?
finally, I saw it. Finally, we've been telling you this. And I said, wow. I said, okay, here's the deal. Because I was like so sure. I can't even remember what it was, but I was so sure it was something, probably a schedule, something. I was so sure I knew that I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
see reality. And I said, okay, here's the deal. This is a rule we got to make. If Susan doesn't see something, you got to hit her over the head with it until she sees it. Don't let her out of the room because, at least I'm aware of that, that I do that. But that's the
Mm-hmm.
idea with rethink, right? If
Yeah.
you you got to unlearn what you think because the world is just too
It
complex.
happens.
Yeah.
Yes, it actually happens to me a lot, and actually, I think one occasion already, like this week, I was during the meeting. I was usually quite vocal, but now you have this cultural aspect comes into play. I'm in Thailand. I'm with my Thai staff, and they are not confrontational. They
Mhm.
just will not tell you that you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
And they would yeah, they would write me an email afterwards or text me afterwards very emotionally that you don't understand this, like you misunderstood us, blah blah blah. And yeah, so I had a conversation with them again as well. I said, I know I'm usually the vocal one, but it does not mean I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah, only because you're quiet doesn't mean you're wrong. But
Right.
it's important that you tell me that, something is wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it happens even more with female team members and also Asian cultures in a lot of ways. So that's also another layer of complication.
Right.
Well, and it gets back to that diversity we're talking about, though, right? So there's, even if we think we know something, we're certain we know a certain thing, but we haven't been able to look at it through all those different lenses, all those different perspectives. What we know as a fact, as Susan said, may not be a fact at all, may be totally off base. But that's why we have to be open to being surprised, open to, oh, maybe that's not the one way to say it, or the one way to think about it, or the one way to solve it. Right. And that diversity, all different types of diversity, gives us such richness as people and as leaders, because then we've got such a broad spectrum instead of this narrow, I know what it is focus.
You know what, I think we're talking about a really important, excellent leadership tenet here, and that is to really understand our brains, right? We do shortcuts, right? Because just to get through our day. So this is how we know things. And I think as to be an excellent leader, first needs to realize that that we do that. And second, to take a pause and allow people around you to give you input and make sure that you're getting a diverse set of input. And do your best to listen. Because
listening is so important and so hard, because sometimes you're under pressure to get the performance out of people, and you tend to just decide everything and control everything, and that's just it's not sustainable. You might get very short-term results, but when people don't feel like they're respected, then you just cannot win their hearts.
Absolutely. That is very sage advice. Speaking of advice, I'd like to shift gears just a little bit for us. And we always promise our listeners actionable advice when they tune into this podcast. So if you were to give a piece, even if it's something you've already talked about, is fine as well. But if you were to give a piece of advice that our listeners could take away and apply today to help them on their leadership journey, what would that be?
For me, that really helped me a lot is to be comfortable with who I am. First of all, you need to know who you are and start to work on the core values that are really important and true to you, right? Because there will always be very unexpected situation coming up, like some problems that you never had before, or just some I don't know, any sort of work stress and everything, something that you just absolutely cannot control. Having that foundation ready is so important, because when I first got this job 5 years ago, I was part of the operational team. Of course, it's not the same title, but I already started to manage a few people. And at that time, I really didn't really have a lot of experience. And at that time, what really helped me is go back to the foundation, how I want people to treat me, right? All those very core questions that can guide us. Some people have their faith. For example, I have my faith. I'm a Christian, and I would, probably go back to some of the teachings, right? But it doesn't really matter like what religion you have, or if you don't really have a religion, that's okay. Like if you have your core values, that has to be like something really foundational that can ground you. So it doesn't matter what situation you're in, you can always refer to those, right? So I think that's important to me. And I also wrote down mindfulness, have that humility to really be reflecting on what you did or what you said throughout the day, and check in with your allies at work. If you don't have, I highly recommend that you need to have your allies at work, right? I'm not talking about, having, private group, that the exclusive little group. No, you need to have your true friends at work, and then you can seek advice. You're comfortable, listening to them when they tell you the truth, right? Always checking with them. Hey, I had this situation the other day. What do you think, right? Is my response appropriate or is it not? What can I do, right? Some people might think, why do I have to give her advice, right? What's the benefit for me? But I think if you truly have that relationship with someone, they are willing to help because we are all in this together. You want to make things work, right? You will naturally be really willing to give advice or give comments, right? Even just comment, just observation, right? So yeah, that's already 2 points. And then I mentioned earlier that you want to build your support network. It can be, professional services like coming to you guys, or take a course, or consult with your friends, right? Consult with your families. And also, I think reading is so important because a lot of things that we're experiencing, some other people already experienced that. So you suddenly this huge burden is dropped because you're no longer in that unknown. People already had this. They studied this, they researched this, they wrote about it. So even just a quick Google search sometimes got me out of the panic mode really quickly, right? So I feel like knowledge really is the power.
I was just I really was just admiring the power behind you as a leader and as a person. And when you were talking about being grounded in your values, how important that was for you, I thought, you know, doing that really enhances your leadership presence and gravitas. You may not feel it because it's who you are, but that confidence and that grounding that you were talking about is really powerful.
I remember you had a guest speaker 3-4 months ago, Alan Mullally. That's
Yes.
the
Mulally,
correct way to say it.
Yes.
I was listening to, I didn't listen to the whole thing, but what caught my attention was that he said it's just you. There has been just you. There's no work you or private life you. It's impossible. And that was like such an eye-opening moment for me as well. See, like knowledge.
Yeah.
Um, it is so great because yeah, we spend so much time at work. At work, 8, 10, 12 hours. It's just you cannot separate. Whoever you are at work is you. And if you deliberately try to separate two selves, you're gonna be so exhausted.
Right.
So you really need to decide like who you truly are and show up as who you are at
Yes.
work and as
we
private life as well.
we usually say that, repeat that actually in our courses, and we say who you are is how you lead, because you cannot separate the two. So you're going to show up even if you think you're not, even if you think you're separating the two and hiding the way you are outside work from work, you're not. People
Right.
see it because it comes out of you. They can't help but come out of you. So
And it's just
that's
so exhausting. Like, why? Why do you
why
have to
why
do
try to
that?
be two different people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Frances, is there
Yes.
anything else that you would like our listeners in the world to know about leadership, about excellent leadership, about you?
I don't know what first comes to people's mind when the term leadership comes up, right? Because I guess a lot of people have the impression that, oh, this, the boss. But I want to say that it's so much more than managing people. It's about managing yourself as well. It really is a path to pursue a better version of you. I would say, like, for example, I learned so much from my team, which I wouldn't be able to otherwise, right? If I'm not in this position. So yeah, have an open mind and don't be confined in a cookie cutter version of a leader. Think broadly that how you can improve yourself first, and then bring that true self to at work, to your family, to your friend circle, and make genuine connection. Like, for example, even if let's say I leave tomorrow, right, from my work, I know I have lots of good friends, right? I know that I will still keep in touch with them a lot. So I think you feel that work is no longer such a dreading thing if you have those connections, right? You know that people have your back at work.
Oh, that's lovely. And that I can't think of a better note to end the podcast on. And we will have your bio and information about Frances in our show notes. And Frances, I think I'm going to borrow that quote from you, that leadership is a path to pursue a better version of you. I love that quote.
Maybe
so
it's from someone else. I don't know.
We'll check it. We'll go check it. Okay. We won't assume that we know. Well, thank you for joining us today. So we are very happy to have had you on the program. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. We hope that you were inspired by this conversation.
And we invite you to join our community on Patreon. See the link below. There you will find more resources to help you on your leadership journey.
Make sure to join us next time for more conversation about leadership excellence.